like to welcome everyone to our December 13th, 2018 school board meeting. We have completed executive session. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, let's turn to board recognitions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you will, join me down front, and Dr. Kevin Daniel bring the board recognitions.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, we have some excellent recognitions tonight, and the first ones will be about our STEM. They're going to highlight our STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. We begin tonight with a check presentation from Lockheed Martin Corporation. The Cobb County School District's STEM and Innovation Department has been awarded $90,000. I will repeat that, been awarded $90,000 from Lockheed Martin to support the STEM programming throughout the district. This will support activities such as STEMapalooza for our summer conference, drone competition teams, after-school STEM clubs for underrepresented populations in STEM, and robotics teams across our district. So Lockheed Martin, for their generous donation, we're very appreciative and of the support that they give to our STEM program here in the Cobb County School District. Will the following people please stand when I call your name? The Communications Site Lead for Lockheed Martin Corporation, Mr. Rob Fuller. District Supervisor for STEM and Innovation, Dr. Sally Creel. Professional Learning Specialist for STEM and Innovation, Tanya Pachuta. Supervisor of Science, Christian Calley. Supervisor of Math, Michelle Mikes. And Supervisor of CTAE, Jacqueline Brown. Will all of you please come forward for this check presentation?
Couple right here, please. 2, 3. One gentleman on the outside, the colorful tie. Thank you very much. Ready, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Thank you.
Their check was the same size, though.
I'm going to get our county supervisors to stay at the front for the next two recognitions. We have a lot of supervisors here. We're excited to announce that we're also going to recognize 2 schools that recently earned the county STEM certification. The Cobb STEM certification process is designed to recognize schools or programs within schools that support quality STEM-enriched learning opportunities, as well as provide schools with clear guidelines and criteria to support them along their STEM journey. So let's start with Bullard Elementary School. If you'll please stand when I call your name. Principal Patrice Moore, Instructional Specialist Carrie Callahan, and Target Teacher and Teacher of the Year, Kendra Berry. If you will please come forward for this recognition to be recognized by the board and the superintendent. And our next school we want to recognize is McCall Primary for recently earning the county's STEM certification. So if you'll please stand when I call your name. Principal Tom Farrell, Assistant Principal Wendy Embry, Academic Coach Kelly Stajic, Kindergarten Teacher Rosemary Rincon, First Grade Teacher Helena Lofton, Target and STEM Teacher Maureen Perry. If all will you please come forward along with everyone else from McCall. If you'll please come forward to be recognized by the board and the superintendent. And Julie Beck, please come forward. We want to recognize you. Please come forward.
She got the other card.
We didn't get that memo. I like it, though. Good job.
Squeeze a little bit.
Mr. Callie, go high.
So I get the next opportunity to do some recognitions. As is custom on the board, we want to recognize and share our appreciation to Mr. Brad Wheeler for an awesome job this year being the chair of the Board of Education. It's you know, a lot of people don't realize that it is a lot of extra work, and Brad has done an awesome job. I know that his schools will attest to his attendance at everything he's asked to come to and attend and be part of. And I just want to say, from our side, we greatly appreciate the leadership you've provided to the board and also the friendship that we have and experience on a daily basis. So I appreciate it. You can shake everybody's hand if you want to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll take one at the end. Yeah. We got a couple more. All right, so yeah, not for you though. Yeah, come on back down here, man. Stand on in. So we want to take this opportunity to recognize and show our appreciation and gratitude to Miss Susan Thayer, who has been a board member for 2015 to 2018, and you've done an awesome job. You've brought a lot of institutional knowledge. I know you worked here forever, and then you had to leave and go other places to share your experience, but then came back. And it's been awesome to have you as a board member, and we greatly appreciate it. And one other thing besides just a plaque, we give these jackets to our all-stars that we have at Leadership and Learning, and those are voted on by their peers. So I thought it was appropriate that we recognize you as an all-star.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. And last but certainly not least, Scott Sweeney has been a board member from 2011 through 2018. And I was asking him earlier, I didn't realize that I had been in the district for 5 years before you became a board member. It seems like you've been here the entire time I have. So it's been a great experience having you as a board member. Your business expertise that you brought to the board and brought to us as a cabinet, executive cabinet, will certainly be missed. But we greatly appreciate you and your leadership as you have served as vice chair and board member for these years. And we greatly appreciate your service and will definitely miss you.
Elvis, do you have anything to say?
I see it. I see it.
Okay, thank you. And let's move on with public comments. Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 public commenters this evening. How much time can we allot?
Let's do 3 minutes.
Okay, our first speaker is Monica Delancey, who will discuss community engagement and housing.
Good evening. My name is Monica Delancey, and I want to briefly discuss with you a day in the life of a parent resource specialist, especially in the Pebblebrook feeder pattern. Pebblebrook feeder pattern has 25 apartment complexes / mobile homes in its attendance zone. And we think about that, that's a lot of people housed in transient type housing, okay? The resources that's needed for this type of community is a lot. This morning, phone rings, and the first thing that the parent says is that she needs to get to the food bank to get some food, okay? As I'm taking this parent to the food bank to get food, another call comes through with a parent that's frustrated with apartment complex that is pretty much bullying tenants, and they feel that they're going to be retaliated against if they voice their concerns beyond the apartment complex. So they needed, some feedback and some guidance. I get a text. A parent's looking for resources to get Christmas toys for their children. And also, at the same time, another text come through with a parent trying to find out how can they get assistance paying their rent. So with all of these issues just right in that community, when you think about the child, well, Johnny is struggling to learn how to read because Johnny may not know where they're going to be in 2 or 3 weeks if the eviction goes through. Johnny is struggling to read because they don't know where their next meal is coming from. And then when you think about that parent, the parent is not coming to meetings because the parent is tired of getting eviction notice on their door, or they're trying to figure out how they're going to get the extra $100 up to pay that late fee so they can stay there for another month. And so as we make plans to take care of communities such like Pebblebrook, we need to be strategic and intentional to make sure that resources come to an area that we know that 90% of our families are economic disadvantaged. And so that's what I'll leave you for the night, and let's come together with plans and a solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Connie Jackson, who will discuss Ms. Thayer.
And Mr. Sweeney. I just wanted to take the opportunity. I have been in my position the entire time that Mr. Sweeney and Ms. Thayer have been on the board, and it has been a pleasure and a privilege to serve with you. You have both brought very unique backgrounds and talents to this board. Mr. Sweeney, your love for numbers and facts has been very enlightening, and sometimes much more than I wanted. But it has been wonderful. You have brought facts and things out that I never would have considered, and it has been very enlightening for the community and myself, and that has been a great benefit. And Ms. Thayer, as they said, your background knowledge and your experience in the district has been wonderful. I was privileged to learn from both of you, and that is truly the mark of a great school board member, is when you bring something to the position that others didn't know. There is no greater gift that you can bring than educating others, and that makes you teachers. So we really do appreciate all you have given the board over the years, and you will both be missed. Thank you for your service, and I urge you both to stay very involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, next we have items requiring action following executive session. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Mr. John Adams to bring those items following executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We have two items requiring action following executive session. First of all, the Human Resources Personnel Report for December 13. The administration recommends the approval of the identified employment actions of those individuals listed on the Personnel Action Report as discussed in executive session. We do not have any principal level and higher position recommendations, so this concludes the Personnel Report.
Okay. Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a recommendation that we accept the superintendent's personnel action report as presented.
Mr. Banks is second. Any discussion? Take a vote. All in favor? Opposed? 7-0.
Thank you, sir. The next item is an announcement regarding intent to purchase property. The board intends to consider for approval at its next regular meeting the following real estate contract. Purchase of real property and improvements on approximately 1.1 acres at 6394 Factory Shoals Road, Mableton, Georgia, 30126. Tax parcel number 18026900200 for $140,000 plus ancillary costs, including inspection fees, closing costs, etc.
Have a motion?
No, this is just an announcement.
Well, let's just, okay, got it. Then we go to the action agenda then.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Agenda item number 1 is the monthly occurring surplus disposal per administrative rule DO-R.
Okay. That was consent, but we're going to vote on it. Any discussion?
Motion that we accept it.
Yeah, I need a motion, Mr. Chastain. Any second? Ms. Thayer, all in favor? No, 7-0 carries. Number 2.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Action agenda item number 2. I'll ask John Adams to come and bring this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Agenda item number 2, recommendation for approval of architect appointment for Sprayberry High School renovations and gymnasium addition. As discussed in detail during the work session, we are recommending that you recommend the architectural award to CDH Partners in accordance with our board rules on the topic. This will allow us to hire an architect to begin planning and design for the Sprayberry High School renovation, specifically renovation of the CTAE wing as well as a gymnasium addition, recommending it be awarded to CDH Partners out of Marietta for $925,162, noting that the cost will be paid for from the general funds, but eventually will be reimbursed to the general fund by SPLOST 5. And I'm available for any questions.
We have a motion, Mr. Chastain.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation as presented by Mr. Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Seconds. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
Sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, action agenda item number 3. I'm going to ask Mr. Brad Johnson. Obviously, we had a discussion earlier today, and he'll give us the abbreviated version of this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, agenda item number 3 is a recommendation for approval of a short-term construction note resolution approving the issuance of a request for bids for the purchase of $90 million in construction notes. It is estimated that construction costs in Cobb County are increasing 3 to 5% each year by borrowing funds in advance of receipt of monthly SPOS collections and starting projects at the beginning of a calendar year. It is estimated that construction projects could be accelerated and less expensive, resulting in substantial savings to the school district. The superintendent's recommendation is to approve the resolution regarding the competitive sale of $90 million of short-term construction notes.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a motion, Mr. Sweeney?
I make a motion that we accept the agenda item as presented.
Second, Ms. Thayer. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And this brings us to board member comments. And we will start with Mr. Scamahorn. Come this way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few very quick things. One, start off with a somber note. Since last we met, I'll wait till next month and call their names out. We lost 8 officers since last we met. Just totally, absolutely uncalled for, and shouldn't be happening. That doesn't count the ones that were wounded. One was trying to help, and for his efforts just a couple days ago was shot in his vest, and it ricocheted and hit him in the arm, wounded him. And then also the officer that got shot in the face trying to help a situation. So keep these families and the victims in your thoughts and prayers, please, because they're special people that are keeping us from being in chaos and keeping us safe. The next thing I'd like to do is wish Mr. Sweeney and Ms. Thayer the best of luck, and may God speed whatever your endeavors may be. The last was Scott, and I know it's a formal meeting, but I'm going to use first term Scott. The last 6 years have just flew by for me. I've enjoyed your data analysis. You've helped me immensely from time to time to understand the numbers. And there you had a companion, Mr. Stoltz, before that. I don't know what we're going to do for data analysis. And Mr. Johnson's going to have to start doing double duty, I guess. But thank you for all you've done for the board over the years, as well as for the district and educating our children, because that's what it's all about. Ms. Thayer, thank you. It's been, again, a fast 4 years with you. Spirited debates and conversations, which I always welcome. Sometimes I like to think I won 1 or 2, but probably not. But I wish you and your husband Ed all the best. And then finally, I'd like to wish the board, the staff, and all of our faculty and staff out in the district, and all of our constituents a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And Mr. Chair, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scamahorn. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to echo the sentiments of my colleague, Mr. Scammahorn in terms of Ms. Thayer and Mr. Sweeney on the board. This job is not easy, I think, and I think that there's an appreciation and a gratitude. I think once you serve with one another, you get a better grasp of the totality of this position. And I want to thank you guys for serving as a part of the Cobb County School District and wanting to make it a better place. At the end of the day, I think that's what we all want to do, is make it a better place. So I'm grateful for the opportunity and privilege I've had to serve with the both of you, and also not stealing all of Mrs. Scammahorn's thunder, but I also want to send out, I want everyone to have safe holidays, festive holidays, and I look forward to reconvening with the new board in 2019. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Chastain?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I too appreciate all that Mr. Sweeney and Ms. Thayer have contributed to the board. Ms. Thayer and I came on together 4 years ago, sat through board training together. We've had interesting conversations and discussions. Thank you for Mr. Sweeney for being my vice chair when I was chair and sitting to my right and helping me learn about what was required to do this job. And so I appreciate you both and thank you for your service. I want to encourage everybody to have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Looking forward to a great new year, and may your days be merry and bright. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chessie. Mr. Banks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm going to miss Ms. Thayer. I won't have anybody kicking me under the table anymore. But on a serious note, last week, we had the Georgia School Board Association conference at the Galleria, Waverly, and one of our former deputy superintendents, I think he was the deputy superintendent, Dr. Stephen Constantino, was the keynote speaker Saturday morning, and he's a great speaker. He has a lot of wisdom. He has a lot of experience, too. He's been around a long time. But one thing I did take away from what he was saying, and I'll say it in my words, he was talking about who is the greatest teacher that a student will have during their tenure as a student in our schools. And the question is it an elementary teacher, or is it a middle school teacher, or is it a high school teacher? Well, neither one. The greatest teacher is the parent. So that's what we should be focused on when we're talking about students. It should be the greatest teacher is our parents. Also, I'd like to say that Saturday at 2 o'clock and at 8 o'clock, Pope High School will have their Showcase of the Arts. And if you've never been to one, it's a fantastic program. It lasts about 2 hours, but it's the band, orchestra, chorus, and the actual physical arts department doing about a 2-hour concert and exposition. Also, yesterday I attended Mountain View's Science Fair for the I believe it was 4th and 5th graders. Well, I'll take that back. I think it was all grades, except the kindergarten. They did exhibits on their own, and they documented, they did the research and so forth, and they had 54 students who had exhibits on display. And they were judged by different people from the community. Also, I want to say thank you to Dick Yarborough, who had a fantastic opinion page article this morning about last year's marching band going to the Pasadena Rose Bowl Parade. So I want to thank him for that, and that will be happening in a few more weeks. They'll be in California. And as a summary, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. Eat lots, love a lot, and have fun. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Ms. Thayer.
Thank you. I think there are probably those that would pay me to come back and kick Mr. Banks under the table. So I'm here to take offers, anybody who wants to. But it has, it's been a pleasure to work with you board members. I've really enjoyed it. Mr. Doyle, Chris, it's been a pleasure. Superintendent's Cabinet, thank you. Nick Parker, I've really enjoyed working with all of you, really appreciate it. It's a great group. Sometimes I think our community forgets how fortunate they are to have such a vibrant school system as the one that we have. But I know my community's appreciative, and they realize how important it is to have great schools, and we're really appreciative for everything that our community gets from our school system. But I'm also appreciative to my community. Thank you to all of them for letting me have this opportunity. It's been a great pleasure to serve, and I have, the best part has been all the people that I've gotten to know, so I really appreciate that, and thank you to all of you. So it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thayer. Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd probably kick Mr. Banks as well. My leg's not that long, and I'd hurt Susan in the process. You know, this has been a great ride, and when I look around the room, I see a lot of familiar faces, and I appreciate each and every one of you. My wife was the hardest vote to get, and it was the best vote I got. But you know, above and beyond family support and that of my boys, leaving a district in better shape, I think, is really important. And if you haven't seen this sheet, I mean, it's pretty amazing. It really, really is. And I'm the numbers guy. So you kind of gave me the cheat sheet for today. And, you know, when you look at the Cobb County School District and recognize that we have 22 national blue ribbon schools, 56 schools of excellence, ACT scores, SAT scores, and graduation rates that are above national and Georgia averages. We're the second largest school district in Georgia, 23rd largest system in the country. $115 million in scholarship money awarded to the class of 2018. A AAA credit rating. We're debt-free. Student safety is amazing. What we're doing with the alert point system, safety resource officers like Officer Phil here, gentleman in the back, thank you for what you do. Over 1,000 buses running daily. You know, the largest employer in Cobb County, our food service department, averaging 99% on its health food service scores, so we're taking care of the kids. I mean, there's just so many good things that are occurring, and I just immensely appreciative of the opportunity to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Ragsdale?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I want to start out and wish all the students good luck on finals next week. We're approaching a break, and much deserved. A lot of hard work over this first semester. But I want to highlight one thing it's a first for me. Going to participate in the first graduation ceremony of Cobb Horizon High School Monday. We've got over 50 students are graduating at the end of fall semester. And again, I think it shows that this district goes above and beyond to think outside the box of what is best for students. And creating Cobb Horizon High School was needed because every student does not fit the mold or the template of a traditional high school. And so providing that unique, different environment was greatly needed, and I appreciate the support of the board for us to do that. We had our legislative delegation meeting today. I want to give a shout out to our own Lindsey Tippins, Senator, who led the meeting, and as always, we had good interaction. There's tremendous interest and sincere care for this county and for this district, and their focus on education is greatly appreciated. As we mentioned earlier, Mr. Johnson brought us the news that our AAA credit rating and the highest short-term credit rating that we can get has just been renewed
And I want to thank publicly Brad and all of financial services. It's just a testimony to being able to hire the best team possible. And while our teachers are always and will always be the superstars of the district, it's people that that are not those that teach, but are those that serve those that teach. And having a great financial services division obviously pays great dividends, as we have seen through that. It's I've already mentioned kind of the term of you guys, Scott and Susan, and I just want to say again how much I appreciate working with you both. It's you've been here through low morale, high morale, and I think again to your point, Mr. Sweeney, the district is in the best place that it's been. And it's no one person that's responsible, but it's the team. And again, the team starts with us. And again, I just want to say how much I appreciate both of your friendship, both professional and personal, and everything you have contributed to this district while you've been on the board. I greatly appreciate it, and I think we'll always remember all of the significance that you've brought to the board and to the district, and I greatly appreciate that. And finally, just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year, and get lots of rest, lots of family time, and we will kick off the second semester on January the 7th. Thanks.
Thank Mr. Ragsdale. You ready? I thought you were going to say something down there. I'd like to thank the board members for their support and help this year with me being the chair. It's kind of a different job, and like I say, I appreciate everybody's help and support. It's made it real smooth. Scott and Susan, thank you both for your service. You both added a lot and brought a lot to this board and to this district, and you'll be missed for sure. Thank you. And on the other note there is that Ms. Davis and Mr. Howard, welcome them to next year's board. And I'd like to, like my colleagues, wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Hanukkah. If there's no objection, we're adjourned. So there we go. Last time.
Bang it.
Tried to get this one.
Yeah, that one screwed on. Good job, man. Awesome job.
Made it.
Awesome job.
Made it.
I mean, what I say.